Have you ever longed to be someone unshakable? The kind of person who doesn't flinch at rejection, criticism, heartbreak, or betrayal. Maybe you've imagined what it would be like to finally escape that quiet agony you carry deep down, the ache that lingers even when you wear a smile for the world. Maybe you're just exhausted from trying to keep everyone happy, from putting up a front that says you're always strong, when deep inside, all you really want is a break, a moment to breathe without pretending to be invincible. Let me say something most people are too afraid to admit. As long as you're trying to run from pain, it will own you. As long as you're numbing, hiding, shielding yourself, you'll be stuck in the grip of everything outside of you. The cutting words, the letdowns, the heavy silences that tear you up inside. And no, this isn't weakness. This is real. It's what most people live through every day. The only difference is how well they fake being okay. Carl Jung, one of the most important voices in depth psychology, once said that we are not defined by what happens to us, but by who we decide to become. That's the real turning point. It's not about building walls or becoming untouchable. It's about wholeness. It's about shining a light into the places inside you that still hurt in the dark. Because real strength doesn't mean not feeling pain. It means knowing exactly who you are, even when you're hurting, even when you're broken open. If you've made it this far, it's not a coincidence. This video is for you, the one who's tired of carrying wounds from everyone and everything. For you who always feels like you're one emotional step behind, like other people have some invisible control over your peace. I want you to know it doesn't have to stay this way, but to change it, you'll have to face some truths that may hurt a bit. And maybe, for the first time, that pain will actually set you free. Let's begin here. You think the hurt comes from outside, from what people did, the careless words, the betrayals, the absences. But here's the harsh truth. None of that has any real power unless it lands on a wound that's already inside you. What stings isn't what they did. It's what it touches in you. It's the meaning you attach to it. It's the old scar that never healed. It's the emptiness you cover up with pride, perfectionism, and that desperate drive to appear like you've got it all together. Jung reminded us that the pain we feel from the outside world reflects what hasn't yet been healed inside. That's why two people can go through the same thing. One comes out stronger, the other falls apart. It's not the event itself. It's the place in you it hits. And here's a tough pill to swallow. You still get hurt so deeply because some part of you thinks you can control how life treats you. You keep trying to be perfect, kind enough, tough enough, smart enough, as if that could keep pain away. But here's the truth. Control is an illusion. And clinging to that illusion just keeps you in a state of constant fear, always bracing for impact, always walking on eggshells. Want to stop hurting so much? Then stop trying to avoid being hurt. What you really need isn't more control. It's more clarity. As long as you think people need to change so you can feel better, you'll stay trapped in their behavior. Your real freedom begins when you realize that the outside world only has power over you if something inside echoes back. That's the real battleground. Your unconscious. The part of you that you've never looked at, that you don't understand or manage. And until you face it, it controls you. That's what we're going to dig into next. Get ready to go deeper, because that's where real transformation begins. If this message is clicking with you, take a second to hit subscribe and support the channel. It means the world. One of the biggest lies you've ever been sold is that you're in control of your life. But it's time to wake up, because you're not. Not if you're still living on autopilot, reacting blindly, feeling things you can't explain, making choices you end up undoing. Carl Jung said it clearly. Until you bring what's unconscious into the light, it will keep running your life. And you'll just call it fate. And that's exactly where you are now. The pain, the anger, the sudden tears that seem to come from nowhere. None of it is random. It's your inner self trying to speak. They're signals from the parts of you that have been silenced, overlooked, pushed down. Jung called this hidden space the unconscious. This isn't just a vague swirl of thoughts in your head. It's a powerful force. A whole inner system built from memories, old wounds, buried fears, and hidden desires. You avoid confronting them, but they still shape how you feel, how you act, and how you react. Ever wonder why certain comments cut you so deep, while others seem to brush things off? It's because those words hit something raw inside you, something you've never truly dealt with. Instead of healing it, you've pushed it aside, pretending it's gone, but it keeps tripping you up in your day-to-day life. Jung once said, "We can't change anything until we accept it." Condemning what we feel doesn't free us. It keeps us trapped. And let's be honest, what have you been doing all this time? Judging yourself, suppressing your emotions, trying to stay quiet and composed, as if that's going to fix anything. But your unconscious doesn't just vanish when ignored. It finds other, more harmful ways to speak up. Like through toxic relationships you can't seem to escape, or self-sabotaging habits you keep repeating, or even anxiety that bubbles up when things are actually going well. This isn't bad luck. It's your inner world screaming for your attention. But you keep shutting your eyes and calling it peace. If you really want to stop getting hurt, you have to stop running from what's inside. Because if you're not aware of your own inner world, your emotions will pull the strings and you'll keep dancing to a tune you don't even hear. And the more you try to protect yourself from outside pain, the more exposed you are to what's going on inside. The way out isn't through hiding. It's through wholeness. Becoming unshakable isn't about being tough or hardened. It's about really knowing yourself. That's the journey we're stepping into next. What does it mean to be someone who's truly grounded? Why does real strength come not from pretending to be strong, but from fully accepting who you are? Most people believe that if they shut down their emotions, they'll stop feeling pain. So they build walls, wear masks, and armor up emotionally, convincing themselves that nothing and no one can get to them. "I'm over it," they say. "It doesn't matter anymore." But inside, they're still hurting, still unraveling. Because the problem has never been about having emotions. The problem is not knowing where those feelings come from or what they're trying to say. That kind of emotional confusion only happens when you don't really know yourself. Jung got it exactly right when he said, "You can know all the theories, be an expert in every technique, but when it comes to touching another soul, be simply a soul too." And that soul you've been hiding under all the armor, it's begging to be seen. Being emotionally strong doesn't mean being cold. It's not about ignoring hurt, dodging conflict, or acting like nothing phases you. It's about bringing what's been buried out into the light. You don't become untouchable by keeping your distance from the world. You become untouchable when there's nothing left inside you that can be used against you, because you've already made peace with it. When you've embraced your flaws, your shadows, your fears, your pain, you stop reacting blindly. You respond with clarity. That's when you stop being a slave to your emotions and finally taste real freedom. Jung called this process individuation. It's the journey of becoming who you truly are, not who you were told to be, not who you think you need to be to earn love, but the full, authentic version of yourself, shaped by both light and shadow, by ego and unconscious. Individuation isn't about becoming perfect. Jung said, It's about becoming whole. You don't have to become someone better. You just have to become fully yourself. And here's the truth. Nobody tells you. The more you avoid your pain, the more it tightens its grip on you. The harder you try not to feel, the more fragile you become. But when you stop running and face your wounds head-on, when you embrace all that you are, beautiful and messy, proud and ashamed, nothing outside can knock you off center. Still, this path takes courage. Real courage. The kind that lets you take off your masks, look inward, and finally feel what you've been avoiding. Because right there, in that raw pain, is the seed of your transformation. And that's what we'll explore next. How the very thing you've been running from could actually lead you to your deepest strength. We're going to dig even deeper, and this time, we'll do it without fear. You were taught to see pain as the enemy. From a young age, you were told that hurting meant weakness, that crying was pointless, that feeling deeply made you too vulnerable. So you learned to run from pain, to dodge it, to pretend it wasn't there. But no matter how fast you run, it always catches up. And the worst part? It disguises itself, shows up as anxiety, bursts of anger, numbness, boredom, or self-destructive impulses you don't even understand. Pain that's ignored doesn't vanish. It just burrows deeper, tunneling through you until one day everything caves in. Jung saw pain in a completely different light. He believed that pain is the soul's signal flare, the unconscious sending out an alarm. It's how your whole self, the parts you've hidden and forgotten, tries to grab your attention. He once said that depression is like a woman dressed in black. When she shows up, don't shove her away. Invite her in, pour her a cup of coffee, and ask what she came to tell you. But that's not what most of us do. We distract ourselves, drown in noise, stay busy, numb our feelings, anything to avoid facing what really matters. But have you ever stopped to ask what your pain is trying to say? The reason suffering cuts so deep is because you're still fighting yourself. There's a part of you that wants to grow, to change, and another part that clings to the comfort of staying the same. Deep down, something inside is pleading for transformation, but your ego, used to being in control, tries to shut it down. That internal struggle is where the pain comes from. Change is uncomfortable. Growth is painful. Letting go of old beliefs, cutting ties that hurt you, saying goodbye to what's no longer meant for you, that all feels like loss. Because it is. It's a kind of grieving, a personal death and rebirth. But from that wreckage, something new can rise. When everything you thought you knew about yourself falls apart, when pain strips you down to your rawest self, that's when you finally get to see the real you, without defenses, without roles, without the act. And at that moment, suffering becomes something sacred. It breaks you open and leads you back to the only thing that can truly set you free, yourself. Jung understood this better than most. He knew suffering isn't a flaw in the system, it's part of the path. Pain doesn't mean the journey's over. It marks the beginning of a deeper one, the journey toward individuation. The problem is, most people turn back before they even get across that shadowy valley. They retreat, distract themselves, return to the surface. But not you. If you're still here, reading this, it's because you're ready to walk that path. In the next part, we'll explore what that crossing looks like, how individuation, though hard and often lonely, is exactly what frees you in the end. Let's keep going. We're getting closer now. Not many people dare to start the journey of becoming whole, and even fewer have the guts to see it through. Because this road doesn't promise comfort, it won't give you guarantees, and it won't protect your ego. In fact, it tears your ego apart. Jung described individuation as the process of becoming who you really are. But to do that, you first have to unlearn everything you've believed about yourself. And that hurts more than being rejected by anyone else. Because you begin to realize that much of what you've called you was a survival strategy, not your truth. You're not your titles. You're not your trauma. You're not the polished image you created to be liked or respected. Those were all masks you wore to get by. But surviving is not the same as living, and individuation is life's invitation to move beyond survival. It's when the unconscious finally pushes everything you've repressed and hidden to the surface. Jung wrote that individuation requires the death of the persona, which he described as just a mask we wear to function in society. In other words, you'll have to peel off your false skin to uncover who you really are underneath. That's where real emotional strength is born. You don't become untouchable because nothing affects you. You become untouchable because you've already been through the fire. You've stared down your demons. You've faced your shame, your fears, your wounds and said, "I see you, and you don't get to run my life anymore." That inner clarity, that calm in the middle of your own chaos, is what gives you a kind of strength no one can hand you, and no one can take away. You no longer need applause. You no longer need to win every argument. You no longer need to seem tough, because you've already found yourself, and that's enough. Real resilience doesn't come from putting up walls. It comes from having a strong, steady center, a deep connection to every part of who you are. When pain comes, it doesn't shatter you. When you're hurt, you don't lose yourself. Because you're grounded, not in perfection, but in wholeness. You've stopped living on the surface. You've learned to breathe in the depths. But make no mistake, those depths come with a price: loneliness. Not because you'll be alone, but because very few people can walk this path with you. Most are still stuck up top, behind their masks, afraid to feel. And when you begin to free yourself, you'll naturally drift from what once felt familiar. That distance isn't about pride, it's about growth. It's not rejection, it's evolution. You're not walking away from others to prove anything. You're simply outgrowing the places where you used to hide. And that brings us to the final truth of this journey. Clarity is your shield. It's not toughness that keeps you safe. It's awareness. That's what we'll explore in the last part. How consciousness is the only space where nothing, absolutely nothing, can overpower you. So let's keep going. Just a little farther. We're almost through this together. And now that you've come this far, there's something you deserve to hear, loud and clear. Nothing, absolutely nothing, can protect you from the pain of the outside world if you're still asleep to what's going on inside you. Words will still cut deep, rejection will still sting, and loss will still feel like it's pulling you under. Until you wake up. And that kind of awakening isn't some magical moment. It's a choice you make, over and over, every single day. It means facing what's going on inside, even when it's uncomfortable. It means taking full ownership of what you feel, instead of pointing fingers at others, the past, or fate. Carl Jung said it best: what you resist persists. But what you accept, really accept, can finally begin to change. You've spent so much of your life fighting the fear of not being enough, the ache of being unwanted, the pain of feeling invisible, and the emptiness that loneliness brings. But how did you deal with it? You hid. You went quiet. You tried to micromanage everything around you. You tried to be flawless. You tried to be tough. And all of it has led you right here. Worn out, tired of battling both the world and yourself. But now, you're beginning to see. Emotional strength isn't about becoming hard. It's about becoming clear. It's not about putting up walls. It's about seeing yourself fully. Because once you begin to recognize your own emotional triggers, your patterns, and your hidden wounds, the actions of others stop having the power to wreck you. You'll still feel things. You'll still hurt. But you won't fall apart. You'll stay grounded. And that changes everything. What protects you isn't hiding from life. It's showing up to it completely. People who only live at the surface get knocked over by every little wave. But when you learn to dive deep within yourself, you find stillness, stability, and strength that nothing outside can shake. That's the direction you're moving in now. When you start living from that grounded space, from a place of wholeness, presence, and real self-acceptance, the world might still throw punches. But it won't know where to land them anymore. If something in this video stirred something in you, if even a small part of you woke up, drop a comment below and say, "I choose awareness." Let's build a community of people who are done pretending to be fine, who are done surviving on autopilot, and who are ready to live with real honesty and intention. And don't forget, this isn't the end of the road. This is just a part of the journey. The next video continues the path, and it matters. Keep going. Because real transformation doesn't happen in the first step. It begins when you decide not to stop. See you in the next one.